Welcome, everyone. I'm Claire Jones, owner of Liminal Clarity. If we haven't already met, I am an intuitive flow expert that helps women visionaries, innovators, creatives, those impact makers out there who have big goals to want to achieve more in less time with less stress. So I am jumping on today to talk about how we can increase our creativity, our productivity, our innovation, and aligned flow, even in times of change, stress, and or transformation. Continuing today with connecting time. So if you're catching me live or if you're catching the replay, comment, tell us where you're tuning in from and what your favorite social activity is. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, though, I wanted to let you know that I'm opening up 3 spaces to those of you out there who want to move in harmony with your truest selves and find that aligned flow, find those aligned actions, those easy, joyful, fun actions that make your life so much better in terms of how much you can accomplish and how you feel about how much you're accomplishing. And we can cultivate this intentional flow and productivity to achieve your life's work with ease and joy. So if you're interested, please book a call with me. I'll put the link in the chat, or I guess in the comments, since we're not on a Zoom call. I've been in too many Zoom calls in the last couple of years. So how exactly did I learn the importance of balancing my social time? So I'm an introvert that actually loves people. So I have to be really, really careful when I balance my need for social time, because I can easily swing from the side of being alone all the time to swinging to the side of having way too much social connection. On one side, I get too lonely. On the other side, I get overwhelmed and burnt out. It's the struggle of having a Leo rising, but a Pisces sun and moon. If you watched my previous Facebook Lives, you know what I'm talking about. So for example, early in my 20s, I used to have a lot of forward-facing front desk jobs, and I would be exhausted by the end of the day because I was constantly interacting with people, and I would have no energy to do more socializing activities with my friends outside of work. But then I switched to working at home by myself when I opened up this business back in 2018 in my late 20s, and found that I had a lot more time to myself during the day. So I made a point of scheduling more social activities with my friends to provide me with the socializing that I need. Nowadays, I do a lot more networking and connecting with people online, talking about Zoom calls. I'm usually engaged in about 30 or more conversations a day right now between meetings, emails, and social media DMs. So that means that I really need to limit my other social activities to make sure that I don't get overwhelmed and stressed. So for example, I had a bunch of conversations last week, and I use my weekends to decompress on the weekends as an introvert, but I had a weekend-long workshop that last weekend. And so this week I'm working with a lot less energy. I'm working with a lot lower energy because I spent all that socializing, people interacting energy over the weekend. So I really need to be conscious of balancing my time and my energies when my schedule gets that way. It's not always that way, but we have to be conscious of how we interact with those. And so for example, I gave myself some time off on Monday and Tuesday this week to help counteract the outload of energy that I had to provide over the weekend in that workshop. So it's really all about finding the balance that works for you. Everyone is going to have different balance, and it takes a lot of self-awareness to understand what your limits are, as well as the self-discipline to maintain your time boundaries. Can anyone relate to this? I'm sure there are a lot of you out there. So if you're interested in getting clear on how to best devote your time to aligned wellness activities like connecting time, I'm opening up 3 spaces to those of you out there who want to achieve more in less time with less stress. Book a call if you want to chat. So let's get into the nitty-gritty with the social needs on the Healthy Mind Platter, which is what we're talking about today. One of which is connecting time, and this satisfies our social need for connection, which is often more valued than playtime, the other social need on the Healthy Mind Platter, but both are equally important. We'll be talking about playtime tomorrow, but today we're talking about connection. So connection is vital to us humans because of our evolutionary wiring that predisposes us to seek out social connections in an attempt to increase our chances of survival. It is literally wired into our brains to seek out social connections, and it's a basic need akin to the need for food, water, and shelter. So not only does social support have beneficial effects on the cardiovascular, endocrine, and immune systems, but satisfying social relationships are also associated with more positive outlooks on life, more secure attachments and interactions with others, more flexibility when confronting challenges, specifically psychological challenges, and more efficient restorative behaviors. It's super important because the brain looks at social threats and social pain in the same way that it looks at physical pain. So the experience of being socially rejected or socially excluded from something, socially dismissed, disregarded, discouraged. Think about the times of people, how many times people around you have dismissed, discouraged, or disregarded you. That counts as social pain. And this registers in the brain the same way as does physical pain. So this includes problems with your friends, problems with your family, problems with significant others, problems with coworkers. If you're going through a breakup, for example, your brain is going to register that pain, that social pain of the breakup, in the same way as it does like breaking your leg or spraining your ankle or hurting your arm. They've even shown that taking pain medication like Aleve, Tylenol, ibuprofen dulls emotional pain as well as dulling physical pain because our brains register it as the same. So if you are going through a breakup, instead of taking a ibuprofen for your hurt leg, you might want to consider taking an ibuprofen for your hurt feelings. It works the same way in the brain. So your body and your brain are going to react as if they're experiencing that physical pain. So it's super important to structure your time and energy in ways that prioritizes positive social interactions. So an easy step for this is to commit to spending time with close and reliable others twice a week for at least an hour. And an easy tool to accomplish this is to maximize your time by doing group activities that satisfy both your need for connecting time and physical time, for example. So this could be a game of pickup volleyball or soccer. It could be going to the gym together. It could be going on a walk together. As long as you focus on the social interactions in these activities, you can hit two birds with one stone. So think about how your social commitments make you feel. Are they nourishing you or are they depleting you? And so, for example, the signs that are in your Mercury, Venus, and Mars on your birth chart, what these fall into is going to help determine what kinds of social interactions are going to fulfill and nourish you and which don't. So for example, if your Mercury is in Pisces, you're going to be finding more social interactions that talk about spirituality, that talk about transcendence, that talk about those intangible aspects of life, a lot more satisfying than if your Mercury was in Aries, for example, where you're very to the point, very initiative, very hard facts over warm feelings. So think about how your birth charts affect how you approach social interactions. So example for Venus, this is what attracts people to you is your Venus placement. So maybe if your placement is in Sagittarius, people are going to be attracted to your search for wisdom, your search for truth, your search for dogma. And so you're going to have different social interactions if you have a Venus in Sagittarius than if you have a Venus in, Taurus, for example. So think that's why I started with birth charts when we're talking about each of these areas, so that you have a better idea of how to organize your social interactions in a way that is more fulfilling for you, so that you get more impact out of the social interactions that you do have, so that you have more bang for your time, money, and energy in the long term. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today for connecting time. And if you're interested in learning more, please book a call with me. Let's talk about the best way to create a custom mix of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical support systems that combine the powers of neuroscience, spirituality, and wellness practices so that you can achieve your goals while having way more fun in the process. You too can reach and maintain flow state even in times of change, stress, or transformation. I can't wait to support you in your growth journey. So, in the meantime, please join me for more of these Facebook Lives where I'll be doing a deeper dive into each of these aspects and providing practical tips, tools, and recommendations. I'll be jumping on tomorrow to talk about playtime. And until then, please remember that your authentic self is extraordinary, it is wonderful, and you owe it to yourself to create the elevated life that you know you are capable of. Take care, everyone. Bye.